Wall Street investors aren't the only ones anxiously watching the U.S.-China trade war. I'm just back from Kentucky, where the dispute is also of great concern because the state is deepening its relations with China.
Meet the hard-charging governor of Kentucky, Matt Bevin. It seems he never stops moving. A member of his security detail told me he isn't even sure he sleeps. He came into office determined to make decisions that would cut red tape while focusing on economic growth. China is a key component in his strategy. In August, for the first time in the state's history, he hosted China's ambassador to the United States, Sui Ting-kai. Shortly after the ambassador's visit, he secured millions in foreign direct investment to revive this shuttered plant in Ballard County. That infusion of money from China is bringing back hundreds of jobs and changing the economic trajectory of the county. He's also managed to boost exports to China by nearly 60% in the last year. With that as a backdrop, we met in the state capitol to discuss the current trade war.
We see a lot of animosity towards one another, the ratcheting up of the certain kind of dialogue. We see all the tariffs, retaliatory tariffs. Soybean farmers, they're having a great year in terms of harvest, yield, and yet the Ag Department says they'll probably see a decline in profits of about 13% because of retaliatory tariffs by Mexico and China. Are you hearing from soybean farmers in Kentucky?
There's been some. I'll say one thing as a correction. I don't know if it's animosity as much as it is negotiation. And I guess you could call it one thing or the other. I think it's both major economic powers positioning for the best possible outcome. Both know changes are coming. And it does affect soybean farmers, among others. It affects other producers of goods and services, electronics that come one way, commodity products that go another, whatever the case might be. But here's what I know. Certainly with Mexico, this has already been resolved. I'm confident that it can be resolved with China. The reality is China still needs soybeans, and the rest of the world does not produce enough soybeans to meet the demand. It's only going to come from the United States, so it will be worked out. It may come at a higher cost to the Chinese consumer, but that ultimately will create pushback from the Chinese consumer. And the Chinese government will feel pressure from their own people to do something to find a new level so that everybody knows what the stability looks like. And that's what happens when people negotiate. It's not unhealthy. I think it's actually productive and good.
I guess in your position, you have to kind of plow ahead, as you said, keep these relationships going. We talked about soybean farmers. Also, I've read whiskey distillers here in Kentucky. One said the tariffs are like a punch in the gut. I guess this is just something that people are going to have to suffer through until we find that playing field that's level. How long do you think that's going to be?
Again, look how quickly we have started to resolve things, not only with Canada and Mexico and Europe, but now focus is on dialogue with China. Tremendous strides have been made with Japan and Korea. Some are below the radar screen, some are above the radar screen. But there is tremendous progress that has already been made. There has been a leveling of the playing field. The President of the United States, I don't speak for him, but I have spoken with him on many occasions about this. He feels that America has not been given a fair shake on the global stage. We could afford it, but he said as there is an equalization of global powers that we don't need to constantly be the one that is extending emerging market status to our trading partners. And he feels that in some measure we need to bring into the 21st century some of the trading relationships that have existed. I agree with that, I really do. And I think when we do it, both parties will be stronger and better.